Midjourney version 7 is now live. Now, I know that you've been waiting for a long time to get access to this, so today I'm going to show you exactly what you can expect from this new Midjourney image model, and also give you some comparisons so you can see just how far the Midjourney model has come since version 6.1. Now, you're going to notice things are looking a little bit different up the top here, but I'm going to come down to my settings, and where it says 6.1, I'm going to switch to version 7. And you'll notice if I type in a prompt, it's going to ask me to personalize version 7 as it is the first model that has personalization turned on by default. So I click unlock personalization, and what I need to do is rank up to 200 images by clicking which aesthetic I prefer, left or right, or I can press 1 on my keyboard, or 2 or 3 to skip. So I go through, pick 1 for the left, 1 for the left again, 1 again, 2 on the right, 2 on the right, and I rank 200 images. And once you finish ranking your images, it'll say you've unlocked this profile. So now I can try it out. Now again, I have version 7 selected. I'm going to choose 16:9, and I'm going to generate our dog wearing sunglasses. And it's produced these 4 images here. And the quality of them is pretty outstanding. Down to the finer details, they've really done a great job with this particular model. Now, one thing you'll notice if I come up here to personalize, is even though I have version 7 on, I can turn the personalization off. So I still have version 7 selected. Personalization is now off. I can put the same prompt in there, hit enter, and even though the quality is still pretty amazing, they are completely different in style to my personalization model. So this is really cool to know that you have personalization on by default, but you can also turn it off. Is a great way for you to sort of really take more control over your images in Midjourney. Now, looking at some of these details, the scratches on the lens, things like that, little bits of hair, it's really done a great job with the details in this model. Every tiny little hair has its own place, even the details down here, the tooth, the tongue, the little bits of pieces on the lenses. The detail is completely out of this world. I'm really a big fan of what they've done with this model, and I can't wait to play with it further. And I'm going to run some comparisons soon. But at the moment, because it's just been released, there is no fast mode. They're working on that. You either have relax or turbo. So some things may be slower or faster. So I'm going to pop it on turbo so we can pump some more images out. But I also want to touch on the latest thing they have, which is draft mode. Now this is pretty impressive. I click on draft mode, and you can basically use it like a chat and kind of work on some images and then enhance when you're ready. So I click begin, and sure, I can type what I want in here, but instead I'm going to come over to the microphone, and I'm going to type, and I'm going to tell Midjourney what it is I want to see. I want to see a Wookiee dressed up like a samurai, and in much quicker time, about 1/10 of the time, it's produced 4 images at a lower quality. But if I want to see something else, I can ask to say, can the Wookiee be holding a blue lightsaber? And we then get these images. Can the Wookiee be standing on a spaceship? I click end voice mode because I really think that this image looks pretty cool. So I can click on that, and I can either create variations here in full quality, or I can come down to enhance. So I click enhance, and you can see it's created more images at full quality using that prompt. However, it's not really the same as this one here because I used enhance instead of vary. So this time, if I come down to this image and very subtle, I've now used version 7 to create that exact image with a few different slight variations. There's also another way I can use draft mode, because I still have draft mode turned on. So even if I turn it off and type in a different prompt, like one of my classics, a samurai standing in front of Mount Fuji, I can type in space, -- draft, hit enter, and notice how we create these draft images. And it even says draft here next to the prompt. And again, I really like this one. I hit very subtle, and I get my full quality images. If I like this one, I can still do a subtle or creative upscale, although I do believe they use version 6, I'm not sure on that, but let's do creative. And now I have my full resolution upscale. And I'd like to point out that both the draft and the full resolution image are actually 1456 by 816, so about the same as version 6.1. And of course the upscale I just did has doubled that to 2912 by 1632. Now, as I said before, it's the first model to have personalization turned on by default, so you need to unlock that to start using it, but you can turn it off. And of course, there's draft mode, which allows you to create images much quicker using about half of your GPU hours, and then you can move on from there to choose the image you want to work with or the prompt you want to work with from there. Now, in the Midjourney update, they recommended that you could also use -- draft, but also -- repeat in order to create far more images to choose from, and it's the best way to iterate on ideas. As I mentioned, V7 launches in 2 modes, Turbo and Relax. And the standard speed mode needs more time to optimize, and they hope to ship it soon, but Turbo costs twice the amount than a normal V6 job, and the draft job's about half as much. But the upscaling and editing and retexture features all fall back to the version 6 models, and they'll update them in the future. Mood boards and SREF work, but performance will improve with the future updates. And so they're going to be updating this over the next 60 days with incoming features, including things like the new V7 character and object reference. But let's do a few comparisons between 6.1 and 7, both personalized and non-personalized images. Now, starting off with a close-up of a woman's face, I can see there's a little bit more sort of color in the one on the right, but also I feel like there's just a little bit more natural detail in this image. Things like the texture of the skin. There's little bumps and shines in the texture of the skin that's just not in the version 6.1 image, but I would need to try that a little bit further to see if that's a bit more of a consistent thing. Although I do still notice a bit more consistent skin texture on the old man. Also, the hair seems a little more natural, a little less uniform in certain areas, but mostly there's a lot more personality in his face. He looks more like an actual person, like the size of his nose and everything. It looks just a bit more unique, and even down to the little moles and freckles he has. I think this one looks really good, and the hair and the beard I think looks just absolutely fantastic, and the lack of focus in certain areas also just kind of brings a bit of depth to it as well. Yeah, the crowded city street looks a lot more dynamic. Now, both photos are good, but just the amount of things in the distance you see on the right, there's a lot more signs and different objects that are coming off the sides of the building, the trees. There's a lot more variety of objects and things in this image, and also I feel like the variety of the people is a little bit sort of better. It's a different image altogether, but even the way it has like the one orange person and the orange umbrella adds a bit more variety to the image. And the modern family home also just has a lot more personality again in the yard, a lot more variety with some of the trees, the gardens, and even the angle is a little more unique. The samurai looks more like an actual photo of a samurai. I noticed too there's a lot less in regards to the extra swords in this image. With some of the other images I did before, I feel like there weren't as many swords and handles popping out everywhere as there were in version 6.1. As you see on the left here, he's holding a sword, he's got a sword sticking out of both sides and 2 swords sticking out of his back. At least with this image, he's got 1 sword on his back, and the textures and everything again just look a little bit more realistic. This Batman image, I feel like the version 6.1 version is better. He looks like he's kind of tripping out a little bit on the right one, but it does add a nice kind of effect. The way that it actually adds a proper VHS glitch to this image just sort of shows it has followed the prompt a little bit better in my opinion. And they have said that the prompt understanding is a bit more improved with this model. And of course, I wanted to try a bit of an ink drawing scenario here, and I like the way it's very neatly bordered, the one in version 7, and everything's very neat and well put together. But overall, I still feel like these are both pretty similar in quality. But with this image here, I really love the fact this woman looks like she has a bit more of a unique personality. Not a picture perfect model, a little bit more personality in the face, and I love the golden hour reflection. It's just overall a better photo. The highlights of the sun and her hair looks really, really solid. And this time the same images, personalized versions on the left, non-personalized on the right. You can start to see that there's just a little bit more personality in some of these images. This first one isn't greatly different, but the way it has muted certain colors definitely seems to appeal a little bit more to my style. The old man, we get more of a dramatic close-up on his nose, revealing the little nose hairs that are there, which is another cool little sort of enhancement in detail. But overall, these images, they're just a bit of a slight spin. This one actually didn't go for a photograph on the personalized version, but more of an illustration. Looks very old-fashioned, very timely, but you can see how it does create a difference from image. I feel like we get a much more unique home here, a little bit more of a unique spin to it again. I like that word spin. But you can just see from image to image, a little less standard is what you get. Even the samurai, we've got a bit of a different looking face mask here, a bit of a different angle, and he looks a little bit more rugged, a little bit more sort of like the ropes are a little bit more frayed. I really like the way that it sort of adds those little differences to the image. And the Batman image, this one I think was a bit better. And again, I think it has relied a little bit more on my taste of color, and it's really just created a different sort of image, although they're still pretty similar. but the drawing a lot more dynamic, and all of them came out a lot more dynamic with the personalized model as opposed to the non-personalized model, which was very sort of squared up. And that was a very interesting observation. And the final image, just a little bit brighter and a little bit more of a zany personality, I think, in the look of the woman. So overall, this shows you how you do get some very different results when using personalization in version 7. But I highly recommend you go through and have a play with version 7. It's a lot of fun. You get a lot of cool images. Try to zoom in, check out those details. They've done a great job with this model, and I think it looks really incredible. Otherwise, that's the video for today, guys. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please consider giving the video a like. Otherwise, I hope to see you again soon. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.